Hello everybody, I'm Gary Massa with Massa & Associates right here at Pacific Sotheby's International Realty, back with my main man Mike Campos from San Diego Funding, and we are at video number 4 of our 5-part series of 5 reasons to buy or sell before the end of the year. Now this video I'm really excited about because it's a principle that Mike brought up and reminded me about that I just haven't seen or heard about in a long time, and the thing is that it creates a win-win situation for buyers and sellers. Okay, Mike, do you want to go over what this strategy is?
Yeah. So the main concept is that a lot of sellers aren't going to sell unless they get their price.
That's correct.
A lot of neighbors are not going to be happy if that seller discounts the property, affecting the entire neighborhood and those sales comparables.
Right.
But the buyer also says, hey, mortgage rates are up, affordability's down, I don't want to pay your price. So we're trying to find a way to bring a buyer and seller together and dance around the fact that the sellers aren't really willing to discount their price. So
right.
fancy little spreadsheet here. So in a mathematical equation, we've identified that in lieu of a price reduction for a seller, we can have the seller pay points on the buyer's loan that will provide the buyer a long-term savings compared to a simple price reduction. And by doing this, the seller wins and the buyer wins. The seller wins because in lieu of a price reduction, they pay points on the buyer's loan. That actually increases the net proceeds to the seller.
Well, again, instead of paying or dropping the price by, I'm just making up a number, $100,000, you might pay $10,000, like a certain percentage towards a closing cost to buy down that rate. In fact, we'll say losing less money or maintaining more of the net, but creating a strategy that also helps the buyer save more money.
Right. So we're going to zoom in here a little bit. Camera, check it out. On a 1.198 sales price, this is a write-up on a real-life situation that just took place the last few days ago. They were negotiating a $60,000 price reduction. And at this particular case, the net sales price would have been 1.138, and the seller wasn't having it. At the same time, if that were to take place, the going rate for the buyer would have been 4.75% interest rate. So in lieu of a $60,000 price drop, we negotiated at the seller pay $32,000 as a seller credit to the buyer, which would be 3.3 points, 3.3% of the loan amount, to help drive down the interest rate for the buyer to 4.125. Now, by doing such a thing, that increased the seller's net by $27,000, okay, in lieu of a price reduction. At the same time, because the buyer now has a 4.125 interest rate compared to the 4.75 interest rate, in the first 4 years, the buyer will come out ahead by $14,000, almost $15,000 compared to the price drop. So apples for apples, it's a 4.75 at a lower sales price compared to a higher sales price at 4.1. The buyer comes out ahead. So not only in the first, and this is just in the first 4 years, so $15,000 in the first 4 years. If they keep the property and the loan for more than 4 years, their savings will continue to grow. That net savings to the buyer will continue to grow. So it's a massive win for the buyers.
And Mike, do you recall what that would have, in terms of purchasing power, what that would have made the purchasing price for the home equivalent to at that lower value?
So that's a half a point. That'd be 5%. So this allows a buyer to qualify for more than for 5% more in sales price with a lower interest rate compared to the higher interest rate.
Or I guess getting a 5% off the list price or whatever they were paying, when in terms of purchase price for the home. So in effect, instead of taking that off the top of the price, paid some points and got that down 5%, everybody won. The buyer won, saved a bunch of money, the seller retained more money than they would have to make, and they got to bring that deal together. And are they going to close before the end of the year?
Absolutely, they're closing before the end of the year.
Good job, Mike. I love it. I love the creativity. Sometimes you just got to think outside the box to put these deals together and really help people achieve their dreams and move on to the next.
Awesome.
Right? Thanks again, Mike. That was awesome.
You got it.